sometimes some values or some variables are only applicable for certain values, so a certain set of numbers. And when I want to indicate these sets of numbers, one way of doing it is by use of the interval notation. So in this interval notation, I'm going to do a few examples, and we're going to first have the interval, then what is the interval notation, and then how that is indicated on a number line. Now in these things, what we're going to assume is that I'm going to assume that A is less than B, so A is smaller than B, and I can also assume that all numbers are real numbers, so they are all A and B are elements of real numbers. Okay, so let's have a look at the interval notation. If I say A is less than less than X and X is less than B, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use certain brackets. My two limits on both sides will be A and B, so I'm going to say A and B. And when the thing is not included, so it means A is not included in this, it's going to be a round bracket. And I'm going to give you a little hint of how I remembered myself. So round bracket means not included. On a number line, if I have a number line there, and the number line looked like this, this is my X values, and that's my number line. We are looking at A and B, so we've got A there, and we've got B over here. When the points are not included, we're going to use an empty circle for both of that, which we're then going to connect with a line. So when A and B is not included, it is empty circles. Let's have a look at the next example. If I have A is less than X, but X is less or equal than B, we're going to do the following. That my two limits is values between A and B. A is not included, so that's a round bracket, and B equals. Now if it's an equal sign, this is going to be a straight line. It's going to be a block bracket. So that's how I'm going to remember it. Equal sign, straight line, straight bracket. How do I indicate that on my number line? On my number line I have, and I'm going to just bring it a little closer, A and B. This is going to be X. That's A and B. A is not included, so it's an empty bracket. B is included in the possible values, so it's going to be a colored in circle, and that is how that one looks like. Okay, X greater than A. Now I'm going to use my number line to do that first. So if I have X is greater than A, let's put X down, let's put A down here. And what we say is X is greater than A. It does not include A, so it's a round circle, it's an empty circle. And when X is greater, it means that those values are bigger than A, so it's going to go in that direction. And I'm going to put a little arrow there. And this will go into infinity, because over here on the right hand side, over here somewhere, there lies infinity. Or well, it almost lies, it lies a little bit further than what you think. Okay, so to indicate that, my two limits, I'm always going to have two limits to my values. First of all, it's going to be A on this side, and my greater value will be infinity. Okay, so on A on the one side, infinity on the other side. A is not included, so that's a round bracket, and infinity can never be included. Okay, because you can't include infinity, you can't get to infinity, so therefore infinity is a round bracket. And that's the other way of remembering, that infinity is never included, and because it's got a rounding, my bracket is round. And that's a simple way of remembering it. If A is greater than, so X is greater or equal, it means that A is the one limit and infinity is the other limit, because X is greater than. It's a round bracket because you cannot include infinity, but A is included, so it's a block bracket. So if A is included, there's my A. Then I have a colored in block, and that is where that is. Okay, I'm going to quickly fly through the rest of them. X is less than B. So if X is less than B on this line again, if I have B down here, X is less than. So it means that it's not included. It's a round thing, and it's coming in this direction because X lies beneath that, which means in this side, into that direction, it's going to go all the way to negative infinity. Okay, so my bottom, my lowest value also always comes first. So I'm going to have now negative infinity, and my upper limit is B. B is not included, so it's a round bracket, and infinity is always a round bracket because you cannot include that. X less than B. So on my line, it's the same as that one, but we just have a colored block because it is included. It's going to go to infinity on this side, to negative infinity. That is B. So what's going to happen is I've got negative infinity and I have B. Both of, oh, this one is included, so it's block bracket. The equal sign makes this a block bracket. If A is less or equal than X, we have two values again. So on my number line, I have an A and I have a B, only because I said I assume A is less than B. Okay, A is equal, which means we include that point at A. A is less than X and X is less than B, and we do not include, so it's a round bracket. So for this it will be A and B is my two values. A is included, so it's a block bracket. B is excluded, so it's a round bracket. If you get a question like this in the exam, this is very important. Okay, so A between B, last one, A, B. A and B is included, so it's a colored dot, included, which means A and B is both there, both of them are included. That is the interval notation. If you use these intervals, you have to say A between X and B where X is an element of real values. But you don't have to do it with intervals, with the interval notation.